There's nothing I like more than slacking off at work, and I find the best way to do that is by watching Subway Surfer videos with AI voices reading Reddit stories. That is until you hear the slightest sound you weren't expecting and alt-tab back to your work faster than you can find a popular opinion on r/unpopular opinions. And in watching hundreds of these AI voice Reddit stories, I've found one thing. Y'all are a bunch of liars. No, your boss didn't force you to leave work early and then fire you for leaving early. You didn't make a cop cry and beg for your forgiveness the second you told him you're a lawyer. Your wife's friend did not throw herself at you and then kidnap your kids when you rejected her. There are no lonely singles in your area. And HOA Karen did not force you into indentured servitude once you told her she couldn't use your pool. Oh, I get it. It's not creative writing, it's writing myths. Hi, by the way. In the age of the internet, it's both the easiest it's ever been to find true information and the easiest it's ever been to find false information stated like it's true. And it seems to me there are two reasons why that false information would be taken as it's true. Number one, you're either susceptible to the idea or you've already convinced yourself that you're right and there's no way of changing your mind, or the information is so innocuous that it doesn't merit checking. And that is where we find our Reddit stories. It's a tale as old as time. You secretly pay your younger siblings' mortgage, and then mommy and daddy show just how evil they are by telling everyone in the family that you're a useless waste of space. And it was on Christmas of all days, and right in front of my smoking hot Swedish swimsuit model girlfriend. And right after I just handed everybody the keys to their brand new Mercedes. And they kicked my dog. Maybe they're right. Maybe I am useless, I say, wiping my tears away with $1 million bills. No, says my girlfriend, who is also a billionaire and was once asked by Aphrodite for makeup tips. You're not useless. In fact, you should show them just how useful you are. And that's when I hatched my plan of revenge. I was gonna do something so evil, so terrible, that no one would ever be able to call me useless again. But remember, I'm still the good guy. Okay? I was going to ruin my sister's credit. And burn my parents' house down. But for that story, you'll have to like, comment, and subscribe for part 2. It's so childish. The poster sets themselves up as the paragon of virtue, and everyone else who's not immediately loving on them is an evil, evil person wringing their hands, just trying to make the original poster's life worse for the sin of being an exceptionally good person, I guess. The poster is both the plucky underdog that the audience roots for and is the noble knight going off to slay the evil dragon that is mommy and daddy. This is a trend that I have seen a lot of in my many hours of research.
Spent 2 years renovating my in-laws' lake house for free, and on
The poster, who usually doesn't come with a gender, presumably so you can Y-in yourself all up in there, is more financially successful than the rest of the family combined. So they secretly help out with a younger sibling or their parents' rent or mortgage or school, only to later be told that they'll never be as good as their golden child sibling. Then subsequently, as revenge, they take their monetary support away, and everyone realizes just how silly they were for not accepting their financially successful, insanely cool and popular and handsome and all good adjectives child.
On my 28th birthday, I found out from Facebook that my family threw a surprise party for my sister. The caption said, "The only one who deserves celebrating." I commented, "Nice cake." My mom replied, "At least someone's worth baking for." I smiled. Replied, "Enjoy it while you can." That same night, I made one transfer, sent 2 emails. 12 days later, my sister screamed when her landlord called and said, "Your rent is canceled."
It's Cinderella if Cinderella was already married to the prince. It's King Arthur if Excalibur chose the wrong guy, but it's too late now, the sword's already out of the stone. It's Robin Hood if Robin Hood was the rich and only gave to the poor if they were super nice to him all the time. Actually, it's more like the guy at the tavern saying he's Robin Hood in hopes that someone gives him a free drink, or in this case, Reddit karma. Here you are, chum. The merrymen and I were so sorry to hear of your plight. Hopefully this gold will help out and show that imposter King John what for.
Wow. Can't believe my story blew up. Thank you for the gold, kind stranger.
It's a power fantasy. It's the story bullied kids tell themselves that once they're rich and famous, their bullies are gonna regret ever being mean to them. It's speaking truth to power. But unfortunately, there are no more evil King Johns. There are no more Mordreds to kill the once and future king of the Britons. There are still evil stepmothers. Just no lonely ones in my area. And no one is gonna believe the story of the time that you slapped the mayor of your small town and then screamed, "Do you know who I am?" at him until he passed the city ordinance you wanted. But there is still one clear and present evil in my day-to-day life. Deep in the bowels of suburbia, she makes her den. Her horrendous shrieks can be heard all throughout the neighborhood. All good folks of any ethnicity other than Caucasian and some white folks who look a little, quote, rough, tremble at her name. Her police chief husband will arrest you if you don't allow her grandkids to use your swimming pool. She is HOA Karen. I love the myth of the HOA Karen. Not to say there are no bad neighbors in an HOA, but you're the dummy who decided to move into an HOA neighborhood.
Ooh, that's gotta hurt.
If that last sentence made no sense to you, an HOA is a group of homeowners that all band together to make sure property values in that neighborhood stay competitive, where they should be. And a Karen, well, Karen is a Karen.
Oh my God.
No, you did that. Now you're going to jail.
Hey,
Now you're going to jail. That's not our
You
problem.
can go, man.
Let her run.
I mean, really.
Now you can go. She's decided to be an idiot.
She.
And according to the legends of Reddit, despite not really being liked by anybody in the neighborhood, HOA Karen somehow finds herself as the president of the HOA. She rules with an iron fist, ensuring that everyone follows the rules of her homeowners association. Meanwhile, she pretends the rules don't apply to her. My favorite rendition of this story is when the HOA Karen tells a guy, "Hey, we're gonna use your lawn as a venue for our wedding. I mean, your flower garden is just so beautiful. Think of how great the photos will be if we use your lawn. I mean, after all, your lawn is HOA property." So to take his revenge, the guy plants a pipe bomb under the altar. No, I'm just kidding. According to the myth, he actually schedules a sewage treatment on the day of the wedding. And, the day is ruined by the smell of sewage all throughout the air. On one hand, should this myth be true, yeah, you ruined the wedding, but also, that's your house, dude. You're the one that's gonna have to stick around there and smell that nasty sewage smell for the next couple weeks while it clears up.
I hope you're happy. You've ruined everything.
Maybe this will teach you a little lesson about respecting other people's property. Bye, Karen.
Wow, the world is so much better since I stood up to Karen. Crowds part for me, no one bothers me at work, and everyone lets me cut in front of them in line. Guess that's the power of confidence.
Hey, Adam. Yeah, boss? Everyone in the office has decided you need to go home for a couple days. Maybe take a shower or two. Oh, gosh, that sure does sound relaxing. Unfortunately, my shower's out of commission right now ever since a little sewage incident. The only thing that comes out right now is a thick green sludge. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but you're gonna need to go home until you get that all sorted out. Work from home privileges? Gee, you're the best. Bring it in. Come on, give me a hug. No. The sub-archetype of the Karen fits so nicely into our modern myth. And that's exactly what it is. It's a sub-archetype of the king. You know, there's the hero, the innocent, the mentor, the Karen, a model of entitlement that bends almost immediately under the temptation of power in domestic environments. Even better, it's believable. When you tell your buddies about the HOA Karen who finds you for your grass being 2 centimeters too long, they immediately get the idea in their head of the character you're trying to build. A person, usually an older woman, but I'm not gonna touch gender stereotypes in the way society views aging women with a 10-foot pole, who got out a ruler to measure your lawn because she has nothing better to do. Mind you, in this story, our hero is in the wrong. But the social faux pas of calling out your neighbor for a minute violation of the rules surpasses their violation of the rules. You are now the bad guy. You are the Karen. The subarchetype of the Karen can also be translated into the boss, or the cop, or the in-laws, each with their own special domain over why my life is awful. The Karen can be the blame shifter for nearly any shortcoming in a domestic environment. Fence too tall? Well, Karen says she can't see the trees because of my fence, now I gotta take it down. Didn't pick up after your dog? Well, Karen was blasting me on Facebook, and then she demanded that I get rid of my dog. Forget to take out the trash? Ugh. My wife has been nagging me non-stop this week. She's being such a Karen. Redditors obviously take the Karening up to 11, but the idea's still the same. The evil Karen boogie woman who's the source of all my domestic woes. For you see, I can't be the issue. I'm the hero. I seek out the evil that is making my wife leave me for Steve from accounting, and I use my superior intelligence to put Karen in her place. That will shortly reintroduce the spark of love into my marriage. Or at the very least, it'll be understandable to the boys why my wife left me. Not because I didn't put time and effort into our relationship, but because she was being too much of a Karen. The Karen madness was taking over. It is fun to read these stories. I'm not so far out of touch with normal society that I don't love a good revenge fantasy. It's fun to think of what you would do in a situation where you're being so incredibly wronged that the only thing you can do is take that sweet, sweet revenge. It's like a fairy tale. Well, no, it's not really like a fairy tale, but I do think I know what the modern equivalent of a fairy tale is. I might be a little off base on this one, but you can let me know in the comments if you agree or not. I posit to you that ye old fairy tales have been replaced by creepypasta. If you grew up being more interested in the original stories than the Disney versions, you'll know that the Fae folk are not to be trifled with. And every culture that I know of has their own version of the Fae, be that the Jinn or the Yokai, each with their own individual cultural flavor. I've said it once, and I'll say it again. Fairies are not supposed to be cute. Or at least if they are cute, you know they're up to something. Why would you tell your children a story of the cutesy little picturesque fairies with butterfly wings that live in the woods? No, they're supposed to be scary. You're supposed to get your kids to not go in the woods. If you told a small Victorian child that Tinkerbell lives out in the woods, the first thing they're gonna do is run headlong into danger in hopes of meeting Tinkerbell and all her fairy friends. It's supposed to be scary. I mean, tell me that Slender Man wouldn't fit perfectly into an old Germanic folktale. In fact, I'll prove it to you.
I tells you, sir, I seen him, the devil of the Wickwoods. Stands as tall as 6 strides of a grown man, he did, dressed in the fancy garb that the rich men wear. Slender as a sapling. T'ain't just a story, I tells you. T'ain't just a story to keep the young'uns from playing in the woods. He's real. The Slender Man is real.
May I introduce you to the Errol King. Translated into English, it's the Elf King. The Errol King is often depicted as a bearded giant, or goblin, who lures children into the land of death. Minus the beard, Slender Man could be an albino version of the Errol King. Same look, same MO, and if you read into the proxies of Slender Man stuff, they both hold power over lesser beings that do their bidding. Even the warnings creepypasta convey are similar to that of old fairy tales. Don't go in the woods, don't talk to strangers, don't call your grandma. At least, I think that's the moral in Little Red Riding Hood. I need to call my grandma. Hey, Grandma. Yeah, I'm good. How are you? Good. Yeah, I just figured I'd give you a call, see what you were up to. Aside from the universal warning of the woods is scary, with updated stories come updated morals. To talk about this, let's look at the second most famous creepypasta, Jeff the Killer.
Objection, Your Honor. Speculation.
In the story, Jeff, the titular killer, and his brother are bullied by some neighborhood tough guys. And after getting in a fight with those aforementioned tough guys, Jeff ends up seriously injuring one of them. So when the cops show up to take Jeff's brother away for injuring the other kid, Jeff does the right thing and confesses. Unfortunately, the cops don't believe that Jeff did anything wrong and they take his brother away anyway. It's such an awful story. Like, seriously, if you haven't read Jeff the Killer, don't read it. Unless you're looking for like a masterclass in how to write a bad story. So anyway, some other boring stuff happens, but then the bullies are back, and you know they're back for revenge. revenge. So in the second fight with the bullies end up disfiguring Jeff. Jeff goes to the hospital and his mind snaps, something breaks in there, and then from that point on he becomes Jeff the Killer. But aside from quality, Jeff the Killer does teach a moral lesson. And I really hate that I just used Jeff the Killer and moral lesson in the same sentence. But it does help the point, so might as well keep it in. Where Hansel and Gretel teach against gluttony and the obligatory "don't go in the woods," Jeff the Killer warns against bullying. You know, the thing every middle school has tried to stamp out ever since we realized, hey, maybe being cruel to people who are a little different from us isn't as much fun as we once thought it was. Who'da thunk? Is Jeff the Killer revenge fantasy? Yes. Was it also the scariest thing 12-year-old me had ever seen? Oh yeah. But without the bullying that those neighborhood toughs inflicted, Jeff the Killer never would have been unleashed onto the world. So remember, kids, bullying is bad. And if you ever do it, the person you bullied is going to turn into a psycho killer who cuts off their own eyelids and murders their family for some reason. Once again, don't read Jeff the Killer. It's bad. The internet opens up a plethora of new places of comfort. But with those places of comfort come dangers. So our modern myth must reflect those changes. Ben Drown takes the comfortable place that is video games and uses it to warn against hackers. Psychosis takes digital surveillance and online communications to warn against misinformation. Unless the aliens were real the whole time and he was right, then there is no moral. Cut this. Creepypasta are purely modern creations. They don't belong in a medieval Europe setting. They can't exist in a world without technology and modern morals. They fill the hole in cultural stories that Little Red Riding Hood and Jack and the Beanstalk and Thumbelina used to take up. And r/no sleep and r/creepypasta serve as our grimoire that the Brothers Grimm wish they could have put together. Gather around the campfire, gossip about your classmates, tell your friends about the customer you had at work last week that was being such an insane Karen. And then, when the sun goes down and the flames get low, tell your friends about the story of the guy who went cave diving that you saw on the internet. So there's this guy, I think his name was like Ted or something, and he and his buddy go down into this cave and they find a hole that like they can see through it, but they can't squeeze through it. So they're like, what if no one's ever gone down here before? Wouldn't that be awesome that we could be the first people to go on this area? So they get pickaxes and they start chipping away at the cave until it's just big enough for one of them to squeeze through. And so Ted, he's like skinnier, so he shuffles through there and somehow he gets on the other side. And when he gets on the other side, he sees all this demon riding, right? And he's like, oh well, it's closed off and like no one can be in here, right? Because they would have died already. So he just walks and walks and walks, and like 4 hours later, he like finds a dead end and he's like, okay, I guess I better turn around. And so he turns around and then a cultist jumps out and he kills him. Wasn't that scary? Guys?
Wait, so if the cultist killed him, how do you know the story?
I don't know, I read it on the internet. I don't know. Shut up. Reddit really has become like the campfire of the internet. I mean, it's a digital space, which is great for introverts like me who don't want to go out and talk to people. But it's also a place where you can share your situation with people that might understand and find advice from third parties who don't know you or the other person involved, so they can actually give you some unbiased information or opinions. Unlike a lot of social media, you can be as anonymous as you want, so it doesn't really matter what you look like. Unless you go to those subreddits. I mean, where else am I gonna hear the story of a truck driver who stopped a robber who was in a high-speed chase with the police? What do you want me to do? Go outside, talk to people, learn their stories and hear their perspectives? Were you not just listening? I don't do that. I have the internet for that. And podcasts. A lot of podcasts. My second favorite thing to do while slacking off at work is listening to podcasts of people reading Reddit stories. Wow. Podcasts and looking at Reddit. I really need some hobbies. And while I do love hearing all the different perspectives from the guests and the hosts, something in the back of my mind always tells me this is just the equivalent of gossiping with the girls.
My husband said he needed space after I yelled at his mom in front of everyone.
Oh my gosh, girl, no he did not.
I have been with my husband for 7 years, married for 4. His mom and I have always had a complicated relationship. She's intense, overly involved, opinionated, and pretty good at making me feel small in 1,000 subtle ways. I tried to set boundaries early on, but she always had a way of brushing them off or pretending she forgot. My husband would often say, "That's just how she is," or "Don't take it personally."
No way, sweetie. He needs to understand that boundaries are not to be pushed, okay? And he's your husband, for pity's sake. That man needs to stand by his woman.
About a month ago, she came over uninvited while I was in the middle of working from home. I had a tight deadline, and she just barged in with bags of groceries saying she was going to cook for us because I was looking tired lately and clearly not eating right. I told her, very calmly at first, that I appreciated the gesture but really didn't have time for visitors right now.
As is your right, that is not her home.
She rolled her eyes and kept unpacking her bags like I wasn't even there. Something in me snapped. I raised my voice. Not screaming, not swearing, but definitely yelling. I told her she couldn't just come over uninvited, that I wasn't a child who needed to be taken care of, and that she needed to respect our space.
Good on you. Good on you.
She stood there, shocked, like no one had ever spoken to her like that before. My husband came home an hour later. His mom had already left, crying. Apparently, he was livid. Said I disrespected his mother, that I overreacted, that I embarrassed him. I expected a fight. What I didn't expect was for him to pack a bag and say he needed space to think. That space turned into days, then a week. And last Friday, he texted me to say he wanted a separation. No real conversation. No couples therapy. No attempt to work through anything. Just done.
Oh my gosh, I am so sorry, sweetie. But you don't need him. You are a strong, independent woman, and he's gonna come crawling back the second he realizes what he lost. You hear me?
I keep replaying that moment in my head and wondering, was I wrong? I know I yelled, but after years of biting my tongue, it felt like I finally defended myself, and now the person I thought would always have my back doesn't. I feel humiliated, abandoned, and worst of all, like I was tested and failed. I don't even know if I want him back, but I also can't believe this is how it ends.
You know, I didn't really want to say anything on account of you two being so happy for so long, but you really should have divorced his mama's boy ass a long time ago, okay, girl?
Within these stories and anecdotes, we find the legends of Reddit. It is important to remember, though, when talking about the modern myth, that the people writing these stories and sharing their anecdotes don't know they're writing a myth. Our Redditors are the bards and the storytellers, sharing their tales to entertain or receive pity or scare the bejeebies out of you. As with any community, the legends of Reddit reflect the culture that propagated them into legendary status in the first place. And unfortunately, Reddit...
It is a silly place.
Right.
I'm gonna argue that the two most legendary Reddit stories are I Pretended Not to Know What a Potato Is and The Poop.
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for speculation and hearsay.
No, we already did that joke. In my opinion, okay? Is everybody cool with that? Editor, I'm looking at you. Okay, let's move on. Why, you may be asking yourself? Why would YouTube white guy 8,763,953 choose these two stories as the pinnacle of Reddit? Well, as I alluded to earlier, the legend must match the culture. And I feel that these two stories perfectly encapsulate what Reddit and a Reddit story are. In a digital space that glorifies the exact same things we glorified before the digital age, Reddit stands apart. Where the most liked Instagram post is Messi holding his participation trophy or something? I don't know, I don't watch soccer. And the most viewed TikTok is a Zach King optical illusion. The most upvoted Reddit post of all time came from a stupid passing meme. It's a billboard in Times Square from the GameStop go brrr days. And while yes, that is very Reddit, a passing meme can't be a legend. A legend lives on after the hype. A legend inspires. A legend reveals something crucial to the human condition. King Arthur shows the example of what a good leader is supposed to be. The namesake of this video, Reddithood, shows what it means to stand up against tyranny. The poop knife shows the value of a diet with plenty of fiber. Silliness aside, what is a myth? A myth is a story to explain why. So what is the why of Reddit? It's a place to tell stories and ask questions and connect with a community that you love and that other people love in return. It's not a place where you're looking for fame and fortune, but a place to connect and be related to. And what, I ask you, is more relatable than not wanting to make a fool of yourself in front of your partner's parents and figuring out that the thing that your family did, other families don't do. Yeah. So then the guy's like, oh, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like and comment and subscribe. So then I did. I liked, I commented on the video, and then I subscribed to the channel. And guess what? And you're not gonna believe this. You're never gonna believe this. Everybody clapped. Okay, bye. Also, real quick, can you save a bunch of Reddit stories of guys talking about how much they hate their wives and their moms and their dads and their brothers and their sisters? You get on incel TikTok real fast, and it is not a fun place to be.